So did you start the meeting at all? Okay, how far did you get?
There was no public comment. We asked about bills payable, and that's when Tracy came from the presentation.
Okay. So I have a list here of bills payable. We can table that. Well, actually, first, we should probably accept the letter of resignation. Have you guys done that?
No.
Okay, so our treasurer has decided to resign. I needed a motion to accept the letter, the resignation.
Regrettably, make the motion to accept your resignation, Tracy.
Second? Okay. Who's keeping meeting minutes? Okay. All right, can you note that for us? All in favor, or do we have to do a roll call on that? No. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right. Any last minute additions? Did you make it through the meeting minutes that Steve sent?
Yes.
So we had one change, just remove Connie's first name to a C on Tracy's request. She made the motion and it passed.
Okay. My suggestion would be to table bills payable. Okay. We do need to appoint a new treasurer. Is anybody here willing to be treasurer? Krista?
I don't know
What it takes? Okay. So talking with the LDC, they will walk you through the position. If you don't feel comfortable doing the paying of the bills, they will take that on for us. So basically, the treasurer will be responsible for collecting all the bills that come in, forward them to the LDC, and the LDC would pay them. So you would be responsible working with them. They would also work with you on any of the reports that we have, educate you with the process flow. But you would be that contact through there. Are you willing to accept that?
temporarily, yes.
Okay. 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 So the hard part is if she is willing to do that, we only have 3 of us here that could vote to accept.
So we'll have to wait until our next meeting.
Correct. So as a backup plan, can we go ahead and just have the LDC handle our bills right now? They're willing to take an email. I don't have to print them and run around like I've been doing. Okay. I will. Yes.
I would make a motion to allow the LDC to handle our bills payable and other accounts in the absence of a treasurer until we come up with someone who is able to do that.
I'll support that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That passes. Treasurer's report, those have been sent out. We'll talk through the bank balance issue. Does everybody feel comfortable approving those, or do we want to approve them next meeting after we get a corrected financials?
I had a hard time following all the emails. I did read them. It highlighted that we had additional balance about a year ago, which was rectified where that money came from, which was mostly interest, right?
Correct.
That wasn't logged. How is our bank balanced right now or unbalanced? What's our current situation?
So LDC keeps all of our financials, and we are in balance with them. The issue comes with the check register that's out of balance. Per the LDC, the check register is out of balance, and I gave that figure. Now is about $195. From August of 2018 to December of 2021, it was out of balance a little over $10,000. So it's been a growing issue again, and that's what LDC has brought up to me on the problems that have come into play.
So what could we or should we do at this point?
So if you want, we could table it. We are working with Laura Tandy, and I can have Krista work with Laura to help rectify this to get us back in balance. We're going to need to add you as a signer to the bank, but we can't do that till you're treasurer, right? So it does leave us in a little bit of a limbo. But we can, the bills payable are here. Laura has said that they are correct to what LDC has on their end. They are not correct to what we have on our end. And they have been out of balance since December, the last time it was rectified per LDC.
Should probably pay the bills, don't you
Well,
think?
paying the bills, but
It's something separate.
that's something separate. Pay the bills, we're already going to get those over to LDC to get them paid.
So this is just the balance sheet and the P&L.
Yeah,
The only thing is we haven't seen the bills to approve them to be paid.
that is correct.
So I don't feel comfortable approving something that I know nothing about.
Exactly. Okay. So I'll get a written, all this document and written from LDC. They're willing to do that. LDC is already willing to take care of paying all the bills. I will go back to what we have on record and get that sent out. So we could table that to another meeting. All right. New business then. Interim DDA director. In our search for looking for a DDA director, again, with the concept we talked about last time with the LDC, doing a hybrid plan, the board seemed open to that thought process. Okay. Until we move forward on making that happen, we still need somebody daily. I'm tapped out. I can't do everything I'm doing here between being downtown and doing lights and being called on this from LDC and dealing with everything. So my thought is, if we're willing to get somebody in here 10, 15 hours a week, help train them. LDC is willing to work with that person. Michigan Downtown Authority has training videos. I mean, they're going to give them all the help they can, and we can help them as well. And possibly that could be our full-time role we're talking about. It could be 20 hours. It could be 30 hours. It just depends on what we end up deciding to do. But I think it would be a good foot in to learn the process. I know Angela has come forward. Actually, she's the only one that has come forward in putting her name out there. She did give us a business plan. I know I've got it. I think the board has received it as well. No? Okay, I could share that as well. But we do need somebody to handle emails. I know I've got a ton of emails from the parade and other things that need to be followed up on that. Honestly, I don't have time with everything else.
How far out are we on our search? When will a job listing be posted?
Well, if you want to change the idea and post the job right away, we can. At the time, we tabled it to work with the LDC on their thought process. That thought process symposium meeting won't be until January. So if you want as an interim, I can post it now and see what we get.
I thought at our last regular meeting, we were hoping to get someone in the role quickly. We had talked about maybe having the job posted in a couple of weeks and then maybe someone hired within a month. That was kind of where I remember leaving the discussion of job hunt at. I do know that I also recall Sam's idea, but I didn't know that that was actually part of our plan. I would have voiced my opinion at that time if that was actually more than just an off-the-wall idea.
At the time, we talked about doing the plan, but if we didn't have a plan in place within about 30 days, we were going to look to do an interim right away.
So I would support an interim now. I would support us posting it yesterday, today, tomorrow, and trying to get someone permanent. I'm on board with either of those things. Sam's idea of a split position, I see some flaws with it that I think it might not benefit our community or our size community as well as it might a smaller community and or the couple larger communities in Lapeer County. So my opinion is I wouldn't support Sam's plan without at least seeing it successful in some other comparable communities. I'd rather not be a guinea pig on that. But so whether we want to move forward to see if we can get an interim starting today, tomorrow, or post the job as soon as we can. That's my opinion. I'm looking for your guys' opinion too.
I think it was a good idea.
Right, Andy, I know you've been working harder than you. You're trying to do a full-time job and this job,
Yes.
which is really hard, I'm sure.
Yeah, and there's, I don't want things falling through the cracks for
Mhm.
anything we have going on. So, but there's a lot, like I said, emails, from the interest in the light poles, which I'm thoroughly surprised we have that many people interested in light poles. And now the parade, we're getting a ton of interest in the parade. I mean, I just picked these up today, and here's another 3 more that we don't have accounted for, which is all good stuff.
That's great.
So, but if people are open to appointing an interim right now,
When you post for an interim, though, is it able to reach out to any retired DDA?
so Sam from the LDC has been working behind the scenes and trying to find us somebody, but nobody's interested in working for Elmont. So that might change. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, we can keep putting the feelers out there, but something's got to give. We got to have somebody here sooner than later to do the work.
I also agree with Paul. I think the idea behind the LDC and having somebody part-time sounds good behind the scenes, but being that they don't have anybody already up and running would also be, I think, some sort of a hinder in this situation, because let's say they have a meeting in January, they don't hire somebody until February, they have to go through training. I mean, you're talking about several months until that potential person, so.
It's a delay that we talked
Yeah.
about before.
Yeah.
Again, we're just throwing out options for
Right.
everybody.
My prediction for that program, if we have a director that's shared among communities in Lapeer County, I think that they will spend the majority of their time in or for Emily City and or Lapeer. And those communities are going to benefit greatly from that. And then the really small communities whose DDAs have almost nothing, like Dryden or any of the little ones, having any help is going to help them. But I think we're right in the middle where we're not big enough to really get enough attention, but we're lost in the middle, I think. So I don't see that plan helping us, but maybe I'm wrong. Like maybe Metamora will sign up and they'll say this is great, and then we can say, okay, maybe we should try it too.
Just to clarify that, the percentage that the presentation that Sam did is we would have a part-time person here working for us directly. Though the people that would be the director would be on that side just doing financials, grant work, all the back end stuff. So that way the person that's the face to the DDA running around seeing businesses, making sure the parades happen, all that would still be in place at that 20 hours a week. But what would take off is all the back end extra that we would pay if we pay a full timer, that extra 20 hours plus benefits. So
I understand.
Yeah,
I
just
also
saying.
don't see how it makes sense to have one individual write the grants for all of these communities who are competing against each other for the same grant. Like that plan doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean?
and we have different.
If one guy is writing for 5 communities and they're all vying for the same grant, I think that seems unfair to me.
On the other hand, how many grants are we applying for now?
Well, hopefully a new director would apply for some for us.
And that's
That
always
would be
possible
my
as
goal.
long as they're versed in doing that. So again, it's just ideas. It's the board's decision on which direction we go with all that. It's not my decision. So I'm just saying that's how it's presented. But if we want to get an interim, if you want me to post the position,
I think it should be posted as quickly as possible, is my opinion. And if we want to get an interim in the meantime, I would support that too.
okay, then make motions, and then if you have an interim you'd like to appoint, then appoint an interim.
I don't have an interim that I would like to appoint. I don't know if, you mentioned Angela, I don't know if Angela's interested, but it might be worth asking officially if she is, and then we can have that discussion.
Would you be interested in acting in the interim role? Okay. All right. And we'll walk through the duties of what's involved with all that. Again, the last thing any of us wants to do is set up anybody for failure, and that's the concerns with even getting somebody in here. We don't want that. So, but we'll have all the training we could possibly gather for you.
So I know Angela in a number of different ways professionally, and I would certainly support her stepping up as interim director. I know that she would do a good job.
She does have to go, this has to go before.
Correct. Correct.
So I would make a motion that we offer Angela an interim position. We need to come up with some sort of pay scheme.
Correct.
I would presume.
So you can say the dollar amount, you can say the time, everything.
Without a motion, does anybody have an opinion? And if we're talking a 10-hour a week or a 15-hour a week, and do we want to do per hour or weekly stipend?
I would
a
do-
couple $100s or a per hour.
My thing would be keep it per hour, and I would say 10 to 15 hours max at this point in time, but that's me. We know what we were paying Kim before. So if you're willing to do the job, did you have an idea what you wanted per hour? I know. I read your proposal.
How much were we paying Kim? I don't recall.
20, right around 23, 22 and a half, 23.
Would it be unreasonable to do $20? I'm again looking for advice here.
I mean, today's prevailing wage, I mean, you can go to McDonald's to get a job for 15, and, there's other ones for 17, 18, so I don't think 20 is out of the line, but we were paying somebody else 23. I know in the conversations I had with LDC on full-time, 45-ish for our size community, full-time is a good number.
Or for an hour.
For a year, because that would be salary. So
that's $23, $25.
correct. So, but again, we're interim. It's at a test and learn phase. I mean, there's potential for growth on that, of course.
Right.
And again, this could turn into the 30-hour, 40-hour full-time role as we work through all this.
Krista or Christy, do you have any input on a dollar amount?
I agree with what you're saying. I think $20 an hour seems fair.
So I propose that I make a motion that we offer Angela Edwards an interim position of 10 to 15 hours a week to be director, interim director at a rate of $20 per hour.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so that has to go in front of the board, village council, because they have to approve whoever we pick. Angela, do you accept that if we make it in front of the village council board? Okay, perfect. Do you want to make a motion about posting the position right now? You left that out of the last motion.
Yeah, let's do that. Let's make a motion that we post the position as we had our the draft in the email. So rather than me repeating it. But I think we nailed out a pretty good job description and, other requirements. So I would like that to be posted, as soon as possible.
Support.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? No. All right. Those both passed. Number 2, new business, bank balance is out of balance. Is that something you want to hash on a little bit more with the issues?
I think it would be helpful to see it more in black and white. When we're more prepared one day, we can kind of have it lined up, and or maybe even have someone from the LDC come and explain to us what has happened and how we can move forward in a better way. So I think we should table that.
Explain, actually, they're watching right now. So
Okay, great.
They are more than happy to come explain. So,
Yes, I think that would be helpful. So then we can all be on the same page with what has transpired and how to make it work better in the future.
okay. Anybody else? Any questions? Okay. All right, sidewalk, snow plowing contracts. Those I've passed out to everybody. On the list, the original bid package is there. The 3 bids are also there for everybody's reference. There is a spreadsheet. I think I gave out everybody's my sheets. So there's a spreadsheets on there. So it's Ultimate Asphalt was the first one. Yard Services was the second. Scott's Lawn Maintenance was the third. Holly Miller was with me here opening up the bids. We also had Kim Kiesler, David Trent, and DPW here witnessing. The only person in attendance was Scott's Lawn Maintenance. So, and again, I know these are just coming out now, but as you can see with the bid package, what was given out, it is listed specifically. Holly did make mention of 1 to 3, 4+ inches salting, method of salting, whether they gave references or not, whether they listed their equipment or not. That is also in their bids, and that was a directive from our bid packet, which you also have. One conversation that come up, is David Trent still here? Sir. When we were going over this, it brought up the concern that hauling out of snow, the DPW gets paid back half from MDOT, correct? But if we use a contractor, we can't reclaim those funds. So by us using the contractor for the sidewalks, we cannot apply for the amounts given to haul that away. Now, the DPW might be willing to handle the hauling, but that originally wasn't in the all or nothing conversation. We were made aware that this was made aware to our previous DDA director. I don't ever recall hearing that information. I don't know if anybody else has, but I was not aware that there was a chance for the DPW to handle the cost or part of that cost. So as we're going through the bids, keep that in mind because it's one bid is $200 per time. The other one's $95 per time to haul it away. The other one did not give that.
Doesn't state it at all.
Yeah, and if you read through the bids and look at, and I'm just going to point this out, Holly pointed this out in the meeting, that under Ultimate Asphalt, it basically states on there that they're not liable for any damage to the cement, where our contract says that, you know, if they do damage, they are liable for what they do to the cement. So that's a concern.
So Scott's Lawn Maintenance is like less than half. It's a third of the money, between half and a third, depending on the amount of the other two.
That's correct.
Which is hard to ignore. Do we need to make a decision tonight? We probably do. I wish we would have had the opportunity to contact these references and see what they thought about his service.
Scott's is the only one that gave references. We didn't get any with the other.
But we have experience with YSI.
Just saying. It's just noted on there.
Yeah, no, I hear you. But the other two are close to each other, right? They're within 20% or 30%. YSI is the most. But Scott's is so much less. So
David, would DPW willing to do the haul out for us of the snow? For anything that gets piled up? per what we have on the map, yes. And we could have them work with the contractor to make that happen.
At a rate of $95 per 10 yards, if we went with Scott's, it almost doesn't make sense to piece it out to me. Especially with the ease of being able for them to be able to move it and load it and take it, if that's what they do, rather than pile it somewhere, have it maybe refreeze and make a mess while DPW comes to get it later. To me, it would make sense to have a single contractor do the whole thing, which is why, frankly, I really liked the DPW's proposal of doing the parking lots and the sidewalks, and why I supported that too. But I think we're probably better off having one contractor do it all, is my 2 cents.
Some thoughts?
I agree with Paul. If you're gonna have a contractor do it, I would just have them do it all.
Okay.
Have either of you had experience or heard anything about Scott's lawn maintenance? I feel like I've seen vans or trucks around, but I have no personal experience or second
DDA
hand.
has some history with Scott's as well.
In a positive or negative way? In a negative way. Okay. Oh, that's all valuable to hear, because it's a lot less money.
Yes.
He
Yes.
he has submitted bids that were less before, and we have gone with other contractors.
And we have what?
Gone with other contractors.
Yes.
I go with, rule of thumb, throw out the lowest, throw out the highest, and stick with what it is.
The element asphalt though, it does say contractor will not plow within 3 feet from any parked vehicle. And I know in the past, just from watching, they're there in the daytime and stuff like that. The business is already open, so if someone's parked there, they're not going to clear the sidewalk in that area or in the parking lot.
This contract is mostly for just the sidewalks though, not the parking lots. So it's probably less of a concern.
I understand what you're saying, because there's cars always parked on Main Street, so if they're gonna keep 3 feet away from the car, but you're gonna have this strip that's not plowed or anything.
Take a look at that. I don't think I handed it all mine, but I think they listed a snow raider.
I think so,
At the
yep.
time, DPW mentioned that would get them in tighter spaces a lot easier. But it is a concern if they're saying, the 3 feet rule. We could always reach out to them to double check that. But
So additionally, if we were to choose Ultimate Asphalt, we would need to also clarify the difference between our bid package and what their contract that they sent us says about the sidewalk too.
that is correct.
My concern with their bid is that they said they're not liable for any damage, that they're not gonna do within 3 feet, and then they didn't include a price for hauling it.
Correct.
Two.
Correct.
So it's all concerns.
Wish we had Kim here with her binder. I'm curious to see what we paid last year or 2 years ago in comparison.
I could get that, but I would say it's going to be pretty close to the realm of what's here.
Tracy, do you happen to know how similar this is to what we paid last year? Like on a percent basis, 10 or 20 or 30% approximately. I'm not holding you to it. 50, 100? Okay, 20-ish or ballpark, which is everything is up 20%. So that's
So per the other plow contract we approved for yard services, their quote did not change for the third year extension. So now this again, but they did not. They honored their third year. Did not come
Right.
back.
This
with
is
a price
this is a
adjustment.
fresh one.
I know.
Yeah,
Just saying.
we're starting over, and
Right.
and that's fair. Everything is cost more. 18% is not
Correct.
unfair.
Correct. Yeah.
It's not unfair.
For yard services, we don't put, like how many yards were falling away. Is this 200 per load for the 10 yards that's in our proposal?
Do you have an answer to that? The $200 per load to carry off, is that a 10-yard load as well, like the other guys bid? Okay.
Yeah, and we've never, I think it was, that was the per hour for the truck and machine, but it would probably be roughly, yeah, 2 loads an hour, something like that, so.
Yeah, it just says hauling snow offsite per load price. The bid was for, yeah, per 10 yards. Do you use a truck bigger than 10 yards?
No, it'd be a 10-yard truck.
Okay.
This is a tough one.
I think for reference, in typical years, they don't, snow only gets hauled maybe once or twice a year. The DDA did it in years past. Yeah, that was maybe 50 yards total between everything.
So we're talking $1,000 for 50 yards.
Well, when I saw these, I was thinking that I definitely was going to support Scott's, but hearing the resounding displeasure everyone has had with their past experience, that might not be a wise decision.
Thoughts on that end?
If I was gonna hire somebody, it would not be her.
Scott's?
My personal opinion.
Do I get to have an opinion?
Yes, your opinion is valuable.
Knowing the history with yard services and their work, and my personal would go to yard services. We made that decision before on quality versus cost, right? That was my stance on accepting their bid for the third year extension. They didn't violate any of their contract. They didn't raise our price. Now this is different. We have not had issues with them. They do a good job. So that was my stance then. That's my stance now. That hasn't changed. Ultimate Asphalt is intriguing looking at the cost, but
But really, I think it'll
For the
wash
issues.
itself out with the salt is twice as much money. And
correct.
it's not terribly uncommon when we get a dusting to just get a salt application. I feel like these two quotes would end up being similar at the end of most winters.
Very well possible.
Because they're not that different.
And again, we've got issues. Again, we know the history of yard services. Ultimate Asphalt did a great job on our asphalt, but my concerns, and this was raised in that meeting, was what you pointed out. I want kind of you to see the fact that it had in there that there's, if they damage it, they're not liable for it. So that's an issue. The 3-foot thing is an issue. But I think, it's winter. I just drove from Crosslex and the roads were horrible. So it took me an extra 20 minutes to get here. So we're at that time.
And we have YSI doing the parking lots as well, right? So the continuity of service for them to be able to push sidewalks into the parking lots and then push with the plow from the parking lots out seems like there would be real benefit to the quality of service that they could do, knowing that one contractor is coordinating all of it. So looking at the fact that I think an average winter would be a similar price, and YSI has the parking lot contract and we've had relatively good service with YSI, I would make the motion that we accept YSI's bid for the sidewalks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. All right. All right. Moving on to old business, DDA streetlights. Hopefully everybody in town has seen our awesome new streetlights. Couple updates to that. So the pole in front of State Farm, come to find out, is not our pole. That is actually State Farm's pole. So they took that back. They were supplying the power to it. It didn't match our poles, and to be honest, we wanted nothing to do with it. It probably weighed as many as 10 of the poles we took down. Oh yeah.
So it's different. It was
Totally different. Matter of fact, it did not have a globe on it. It had a spotlight and a flag thing. I don't know. It's a mess. So the globes also that were installed, the company we bought them from sent half with the wrong globes, half with the right globes. We approved the clear. Worked with RCI. They got the other ones as quick as they could. So you should see where they've all changed out the clear now, correct? So that has changed. I thought they got them up in record time. There's still one issue, and that is the pole that's in front of State Farm. We had a budgeted item for about $4,000 to handle that issue.
Was that not counted in our initial
Number?
number?
No, it was counted in the number we needed, but it's not counted in the number to give away. We ordered for it.
Okay.
We ordered for it, but it's not in our sell or dispose of number.
Yeah, which is okay.
So we've got $4,000 set aside. Talking with Joe from RCI, he thinks the $4,000 would be close, but he's opening up a can of worms. So if you drive by there's a base that's been added to.
Yes,
They
I've
think
seen
that was the sign of an old Napa or some car parts store. That goes down anywhere between 6 and 8 feet from what they could tell. Yes. There is a piece of rusted out conduit that's in there. They found wire. When they pulled it out, it was connected to nothing. Okay. There's another wire that's feeding the pole, but that came off State Farm. We don't want to use theirs. We want our system. I was out there with them a couple times, metering the ground. They did a whole bunch of stuff, and I think we're within 8 to 10 feet of it. The hard part is that means the concrete we lay down, we've got to put down new concrete. They got to cut it up. He feels pretty confident in that area as much as they could tell. But again, we're opening up a can of worms, right? What he suggested is potentially, because I can only approve that extra $500, is get another $2,500 potentially set aside in case we need it. So I don't have to go back to the board as he digs this open and we've got a hole sitting there for a month. So, and if we do that, I mean, you're going to get an itemized bill, why the difference, what's going on with it. Ideally, what he is thinking is to take out the structure that's there, try to grind it down 6 inches below ground to report to match, move the pole over a couple feet, so it's going to be on its own foundation and its own conduit and everything.
So I know RCI in the past has been really good with the quality of service that they do and very fair in the prices. So I trust whatever they're saying as being the best way to go. So if we need approval for up to $2,500 to get this figured out, I would be happy to make a motion to approve up to $2,500 to fix the situation with the pole in front of State Farm.
So I was on the phone with him on the way here. He said next week it's supposed to warm up. They do order a cement that is for colder temperatures, so he's not that concerned by it. I've got to work and get the color code from Superior so it'll match, but that's his goal is next week. That's why we got to make a decision on it so that way they can pour it. And they're going to try to work with the original contractor. So all of that looks as seamless as possible.
Trust them.
Yeah. Like I said, they've been great to work with. I've been down there a lot, going over a few issues. I don't know if you've seen, but the light poles have a ton of wires in there, So,
I'll support Paul's motion.
okay. All right, all in favor? Opposed? No, okay. Going to the light poles that are taken down, I talked to my building owner and they are stored behind there. We discussed that last time. They're all down now. I'd like to get rid of them. My thought was first come, first serve. So the person that contacted me first, I got to reach out to them and work my way down the list. I have 11 people that have spoken for the total. I have another 7 that are interested if people back out. I can't believe how much interest we've had in light poles. So if everybody's okay with that process, now that we've met, I'll go through and make all that work. Okay, we don't need a motion on that. We already talked about that. Okay. And I'm trailing yours up. Okay. All right, so old business number 2, holiday parade update. Chrissy, do you kind of want to talk about that when it was held at your office, kind of where we're at with everything?
Yeah. I can just go down the list for a minute. I think we saw correspondence from Kim that she said they've already applied for that, correct?
Yes. Yes, they were going to follow up today and see where they're at with it. But I was told today that it should never be an issue. We do it every year. So
I emailed the chief of police and I haven't heard back from him yet regarding help blocking the road. I did talk to Terry tonight about that, and he said generally, you know, they work with us on that. I've talked to Tom Evans. He's here tonight, Santa Claus. So thank you, Tom, for doing that again. Paula confirmed the fire truck. Holly's posted stuff on social media. Krista and I have been handing out flyers. I have confirmed the truck with Emily City Ford that the announcer sets up in. Just talked to Terry tonight. He's good to announce. He's also going to hang the no parking signs that day. The cards for the float, Carolyn's going to take care of. Krista and Melissa have been working on prizes for the floats. We're still trying to get a few volunteers for the lineup and the judges. We're going to need 1 or 2 more people.
I talked to Lisa today, and she will confirm it, but she said she'd help us line up. I talked to David today, and you are open to be a judge, correct, sir? So he will judge.
We have a child that's going to ride with Santa. Andy, you're going to get the box for lighting the tree.
Mm-hmm.
The sound equipment is going to be by Wayne. And then really the last thing that we have is the gift bags that Santa's going to hand out. In the past, the DDA has purchased items to go inside of the gift bags. That has not been done yet.
So do we need a motion to how much?
We need a motion. I did bring, last year, I ended up getting some stuff from Oriental Trading, and I brought a magazine tonight to give an idea of the stuff I thought we could do. And then we could make a motion to, you know, be able to buy some stuff and put the bags together.
Okay, how much?
What's a ballpark number of kids and an amount approximately?
And we can do an amount not to exceed to give us leeway.
I want to think last year we spent approximately $280. I think it was like $250 to $300 was the budget. I could be slightly off, but that's what my recollection is.
I'll donate for 300.
Oh,
From Gearmaster or from Terry?
Sure.
thank you.
All right.
Mary, we really appreciate that.
Okay, okay, okay.
Very nice of you. Thank you. So if it's okay, I'll purchase the items, and then Melissa had mentioned that we could take them to Randazzo Jewelers to be put together.
Yeah, as long as we get them earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
I'll have the girls stuff them.
Chris has been running around that email. You got all sorts of donations, which was awesome.
I got 3 donations I
Okay.
received from Roots, Mikey's, and Kodiak.
Okay. I did email, I think you were on it, to Kim asking about how we have to account for the cash. I have not got an answer back yet.
I didn't know if I would just be able to
Pass it on. Right. So I'm waiting for an answer back on that. When I get it, I'll forward it on. All right. Any updates to the parade at all? We've got it.
How many float images do you have right now?
I've got to go through it again. I got a bunch of contacts today. I haven't had a chance to, and then the 3 here. So I'll get that out in that spreadsheet I had before with the total. I would say we're approaching probably 20 at this point in time. David, did you talk to DPW today to see if they're still willing to?
Yeah, we'll have at least one vehicle in the parade and possibly up to 3.
Okay. Okay.
Excellent.
We're going to discuss that tomorrow at our staff meeting.
Okay. Let us know for sure.
Sure.
Okay. Other than that, I think we're full steam ahead. I know Holly's been doing a great job. I mean, it's on social media all the time. I see that in Armada's holiday parade.
Yeah.
I keep getting confused, so we'll talk about that for next year. The Christmas lights, Connie, now you work with Yard Services to move the date.
Actually, we've been sitting here talking about it.
Okay.
So, yeah, I believe, we're gonna talk about, when they'll get it done, as soon as they get it done, whether it'll go up either Saturday, Sunday, or Tuesday.
Okay. Okay. So, but it's coordinated. We don't. Okay. All right.
We're working together.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
So one other item, in our November meeting, we normally talk about our December meeting.
Yeah.
A lot of times it has been canceled. My suggestion would be to keep it. And hopefully at that point in time, we might have a few applicants for the job posting, or it could be short, but the third Wednesday does fall on the 21st of December, so I don't know if we can move it to the 14th or.
As long as I have enough days, I can move anything up. We just have to post it.
I guess that would be my recommendation, maybe to move it away from the week of Christmas.
Decembers are
Leading up to it.
tough for me in general. Also, depending on how we are with hiring, it might be worth a special meeting that we could try and coordinate a specific time.
Do you want to make it the 14th, or do you want to call it a special meeting?
I don't know if I would be able to come on
I know I can. I'm going to be in Florida, so we'd have to move it either all the way back to the 7th, or do it as a special.
The 7th might not be bad, because we can follow up on everything that went well in the holiday parade and make notes of anything that would need to be changed.
7th is more doable than the 14th.
Okay. So at that point in time, I just need a motion to make the meeting the 7th at 7, and then I will go through the process. Or hopefully by then our interim person can file the form. It's a simple form. It just has to be emailed. So
So I'll make a motion to change our December meeting to the 7th instead of the 21st.
Support.
Supporter. All right. All in favor? Opposed? All right. That's it. Well, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn the meeting?
I have a question.
Oh.
Do we know where we're at with that prize basket for, was it Small Business Saturday that Holly was going to put together? Do you remember we talked about making like a Elmont basket? Christy, do you know? I guess I can reach out to Holly. Because I'd be happy to include something in there, but we're running.
Holly is on vacation until shortly before the.
See what's up.
She's already left. I talked to her earlier. They tried to miss the snow and left last night. So
Because we approved some money for it, and then we were going to also seek donations, and I forget exactly the plan, but it was going to be something on Facebook, post a picture in a local business or something.
It looks like we approved up to $150 for a prize.
Okay.
Yep, that's what it was.
Which I'm happy to just donate something for the basket, but I think we should get working on it soon.
I think what she wanted to do was buy, with the money, buy gift cards with it all from the local businesses.
Either way,
in here on our DDA page to see what she's got posted.
I don't recall seeing anything posted on that, but
Yeah, we could follow up with her. She'll be back. I think it's next week, later next week, I believe. Yeah.
Looks like small business Saturday is supposed to be 11/26.
All right. All right. Who wants to adjourn the meeting?
Yeah, I'll make a motion. We adjourn at whatever time it is. 8:25.
All in favor? All right, it's adjourned. Cool. Thank you all for showing up.
yeah, I was planning on calling you. Yeah, thank you so much, Tom.
And
We
then,
saw you today across the street and Derby goes, he's working on his
can you go hit the power button on that real quick? I'm just gonna shut this off real quick.